Okay, well, let's get into the Angel Scroll. Would you mind reading from it?
I'm just going to read 2 pages, and I think it'll set up our discussion about grabbers. The Apple, my book about the Holocaust, was on a list, I think, of a San Francisco publication that said it had one of the best opening lines. I think it's really important to have, obviously, people read the first couple of pages of your book and decide whether they want to continue reading or not. So I'm just going to read the first 2 pages of this book because and why I wrote them this way. It deals with some historical fringe ideas that Jesus visited India during the hidden years between 12 and 30 when he began his religious ministry. So these are the first 2 pages. Chapter 1, Dreams. In Benares, India, the sweltering night dragged on. Moonlight slid through the bedroom window and bathed the young Christ-like figure who sat cross-legged on the floor. Only a loincloth covered his slender hips, and his long, coarse hair was coiled in a top knot on his crown. He'd been watching the young woman on the low bed for hours. She was feverish, her breathing shallow, as she squinted at him now through half-closed lids. Her husband held her hand and shot the young man a pleading look. Please let her live. I'm a rich man. I can pay you. I can help the poor of Benares, the poor of India. To thwart death is not to conquer it, the young master said. And the husband buried his head in the bed's embroidered cover. In a single fluid movement, the holy man rose and stroked his host's spent head, his long, graceful fingers raking the dark, slick with perfumed oil, revealing a channel of pale, moist scalp. Beyond the bedroom, in the narrow hallway, the master found his 3 companions propped against a wall and dozing. He tapped the closest with a callous foot, and one by one the sleeping men awoke. Is she well now? The tall one asked, stretching. She will be dead come dawn, his master whispered, as the 4 men stepped into the dusty and deserted Indian night. The phone rang. Claire Lucas woke up and realized her face was wet. She'd been crying again. She eyed the clock, 9 a.m. She cleared her throat, picked up the phone, and tried to sound awake. Hello? You still sleeping? Claire held the phone away from her ear to stop Deirdre Vetch's whine from piercing her brain. You're coming to the gallery to talk about the painting, right? We must talk. Deirdre's verbal pummeling began. It's not for sale. Sell something else. Claire pulled herself into a sitting position on the bed. The buyers don't want anything else. They want the miracle. Absent a miracle, Claire corrected her agent again. The name of the painting is Absent a Miracle. I know what the painting is called, Claire. I also know it's the best thing you've done, and we could retire on what the latest buyer is offering for it. Sell the others. They're no good, Deirdre blurted out, and then caught herself. I didn't mean that. Your work is good, all of it, most of it. But Absent a Miracle is unique. It shows the others up as what? Amateurish? Claire winced. Talk about not pulling your punches. Deirdre could be brutal. No, not amateurish. Deirdre groped for the right words. They're good abstracts, very promising. But Absent a Miracle is powerful. It's a modern masterpiece. I have to go. Claire felt exhausted, disoriented by the recurring dream that had been disrupting her sleep and upsetting her for months. How many times had it come? She'd lost count, but enough for her to memorize it and depict the dream perfectly in her painting, the one that Deirdre was itching to sell. The dream always made Claire sad for the husband and wife she didn't know. They needed a miracle from the young holy man, but he just watched their ordeal and he did nothing. Deirdre kept pressing her. You've got to come to the gallery. I'll come later, Claire relented. I can't talk now. I'm expecting someone. She glanced at the clock. In 30 minutes, I have to go. She hung up without saying goodbye. It wasn't like her to be rude, but boy, Deirdre was annoying.
That was really good.
Good.
That was definitely a hook.
Yeah, now I want to see what happened.
Well, yeah, you don't know that she's having a dream.
No.
You think you're there in India, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, she's been dreaming this.